We are not human doings. We're human beings. Like we're meant to be in this energy of love and joy and happiness. Otherwise, we're really missing the point.
Welcome back to another episode of Voices of the Goddess, where brilliant women come to take a break from their successful and sometimes overwhelming lives to level up, live free, and create abundance.
If your hectic life has you feeling a bit lost, if you're building your career, brand, or business, or if you simply want to get the most out of life, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Julietta Wenzel, founder of Body and Soul PT and Soul Candy.
And I'm your co-host, Graciela Laurent, professional portrait photographer specializing in boudoir and personal branding.
Whether you're relaxing with a cup of coffee or running around town, we've got you.
Whatever you're doing, thanks for bringing us along and sharing a laugh.
Here comes the magic.
We are live.
We are live.
Hi, everybody.
It's always funny, because we do batch record. So this is like show number 3 for the day. And it's fun trying to pretend like it's brand new. Hey!
But it is brand new. And I am happy to see you. And I do feel good. And none of it's a lie at all. I even left my shirt on. So I'm not faking it.
I know. Because wasn't there a time when you would change outfits in between?
I wanted to. I thought about it, but then I decided I'm 49 and I'm tired and I don't want to wear 4 shirts a day. So
yeah, it's too much work. So you get
Besides, we're heavy on the podcast part, not like the YouTube. Like you should watch because I do make some ridiculous faces and I use my hands a lot. But we're pretty good on the podcast part. Just the audios. I'm a joy. I just want you to know I'm a treasure.
You are, Graciela.
As are you.
Thank you so much.
Well, you've been turning over new leaves, new and exciting things lately.
Yes, I have. So,
and the old leaves.
It is kind of old too, but and the reason I'm bringing this up is the beginning of all of this happening right now is because of the guest that we have on the show today. And she doesn't even know that we're talking about this, but it's so cool. So if any of you out there are following me on social media, you already know this whole story, but I know there's plenty of people out there that don't know. But I recently started doing yoga again. Fun fact that most people don't know, back in the 90s, I did yoga all the time in Wisconsin. And then when I moved to Miami, I found I used to do a very specific kind of yoga called Iyengar yoga. And I was an Iyengar yoga snob and no other kind of yoga was good enough. But luckily there was an instructor in Miami and I would go to her classes and then she offered teacher training. So I did her teacher training. And after I graduated from that, I used to sub for her. So I even used to teach yoga classes, which is crazy. And then life happened and yoga disappeared from my life. And I will say I've always been very fortunate that even though I never looked like I had an athletic body, even when I was athletic, my body didn't look athletic, but I've always been very flexible, very strong, pretty coordinated. I mean, not enough so to become a professional athlete or anything, but I could fake my way through just about anything. But as a business owner, business takes up 24/7 of your life. Even when you're sleeping, you're dreaming about what you need to do next. And my work as a PT kept me very strong and flexible, especially in the days when I was working with a lot of special needs kids, spent a lot of time on the floor and lifting bodies. But anyway, life evolves and my work doesn't keep me that physically active anymore. And I'm 55 and my body was just starting to not be happy anymore. And so thanks to Jenessa, I wound up with a yoga instructor on my table whose yoga studio happens to be like I can point to it from here. It's in the same plaza where my office is. But it's hot yoga. And if anyone knows me, you know how much I despise the heat. The worst thing in the world is heat. But he's on my table and he's like, you gotta come to class. And I'm like, I don't do heat. And he's like, no, trust me, come to the Raja class. You're gonna love it. I promise you're gonna love it. And I'm not gonna say that I loved it, but I went to class and I didn't hate it.
Well, I can't imagine you, Wisconsin, in a full heated room. It's bad enough, right? The sweat you normally, get going in a yoga class. I can't imagine a heated room. How heated is it? Like,
it's hot. I don't know what temperature it is, but like I walked in there the first day and I was like, I'm not even doing anything yet and I can't breathe. It's too hot in here. I can't breathe.
Feels thick, right?
I can't breathe. I just need some air. Can I get some air? But anyway, so after that class, my schedule was a little bit busy and I didn't get over there. But now it's been like a month and I'm going 2 or 3 times a week and I'm not hating it. And I'm definitely liking my body's feeling happier. And so I just keep going. And
we've turned it into like a big social experiment because you popping
did.
on and saying, who's going to come with me? And then people are actually going.
Some of that was like an accountability thing for myself because like if nobody knows and I just quit, then no one's ever going to know. But if I'm posting about it, then people are asking about it. And the other thing that was so cool about it, like the people that showed up to go to class with me just because they wanted to support me was amazing. And I'm not really posting about it anymore on social media, but I am still going. Some people are private messaging me about it. Like, if you want to go with me, just Facebook message me or call me or text me or whatever. I am still going and I'd love to have you come to class with me. But it's an interesting journey. So my original yoga instructor down in Miami, she started doing yoga in her 50s. And
wow.
Yeah. And so, last I heard a few years back, she had her 90th birthday and she was still doing yoga. Haven't followed through. I don't know what her status is these days, but so my joke right now is I'm starting yoga in my 50s again.
There you go. Well, and one of the great treasures of my day is to watch your Facebook post immediately after the class because your face gets a level of red and wet that I have never seen in my life.
Oh yeah. Well, and historically too, that's been one of my reasons that I didn't like working out in public because this German Irish skin, when I get hot, it turns like tomato red. And then everyone's like, are you okay? Are you okay? Should I call 911? I'm fine. This is just what my skin looks like when I'm hot. One of the reasons I don't like being hot.
I'm going to have to get you a t-shirt that says that #, this is just what my skin looks like when I get hot. I love it. But don't you love being 55 and now you're like, listen, people, just leave me alone. I'm cool. It's chill. Relax. We're fine, right? Like, it's not such a big deal anymore, right?
So, yeah.
Well, it goes good with your purple hair. It's very exciting.
Oh my God. That was like last week, one day, I was like in a hurry. I had someone here in my office and I like ran to like not be late for class. And I got over there and I realized I didn't have a hair tie. Oof. I did the whole class with my hair down. I thought I was going to die. Like, it was the worst experience ever. And so after class, like the teacher's like, how was that? And I'm like, my hair was the worst. And he's like, well, if that was the worst of it, then it was great.
That is hysterical. You said the other day that like you feel yourself getting deeper into poses, like you feel like it's working.
Well, and the kind of Raja, the yoga is called Raja, and it's all about surrender. And, like the first couple weeks, it's all like, just what the fuck am I doing? Like I couldn't even like focus on how I was in the pose because I was just trying to figure out what I was supposed to be doing. And, but then like now it gets to like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And now that I'm here, I can actually like pay attention to where am I still holding? And, like the one day I was like, oh my God, I'm holding my belly so tight and I just let it go. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool that I can actually like let that go.
I think that's one of the beauties of not just yoga, but life, right? It's like the layers, right? Like the other day I was telling you about spiritual practices like breath work and the Reiki and the yoga and the, all the things. And it's like the more you do each one, the more relaxed you get into each of it, the more it builds on it, the more familiar it gets, the deeper you go, the faster you go, right? Like it just evolves so beautifully. So I'm glad you brought that up because it, again, anything that you're doing, if you just layer it, if you just do little by little, there's guaranteed results. Like you can totally do whatever it is you're setting out to do. You just do it a little bit at a time, I love this. I love this.
It's tough trying to have it all, isn't it? You're successful, super busy, mostly happy, but something's missing.
We know what's missing. Lean in. It's you.
It's the authentic expression of yourself.
It is time to uncover your true self and create the fulfillment, joy, peace, and freedom that you crave.
Introducing our life-changing retreat, designed exclusively for women who are ready to release self-doubt, find balance, and embrace their authentic selves.
Join us as we embark on a journey where the magic of Mexico will ignite your spirit and set your soul free, I promise.
Nestled in the heart of Mexico, the captivating beauty of San Miguel de Allende provides a magical setting for our retreat and a sanctuary for women seeking profound change in their lives.
Our facilitators will guide you through a series of empowering workshops, enlightening ceremonies, and rejuvenating practices, all carefully curated by us to empower you to let go of self-doubt and step into your true potential.
Each day you'll be surrounded by the warmth of like-minded women ready to embrace self-discovery and all of life's possibilities.
And what's cool is that together you'll form an unbreakable bond, supporting and inspiring each other as you navigate the path towards a more fulfilled and empowered life.
There's plenty of alone time set aside for you introverts so you can recharge and rejuvenate.
Amen. The retreat venue itself is one of a kind. Imagine a sprawling acreage nestled at the foot of a volcano. It also has botanical gardens, sacred spaces for ceremonies, and reflection.
It also has a magnificent dedicated spa room made entirely of quartz crystals, and a sauna and a cold plunge pool.
That's totally me. I'm in the sauna. There's even a therapeutic donkey living there. I'm so excited.
Can't wait to meet the donkey. Plus, every culturally rich meal is cooked for you. All you have to do is sit down and enjoy the experience.
I'm sorry, home-cooked meals in Mexico? Yay! So we'll also visit natural hot springs, check out the pyramids, do an easy nature hike, and we're going to explore San Miguel de Allende.
But the highlight of this trip is going to be Dia de los Muertos.
It is a time-honored tradition. City streets filled with painted faces. It's not just an homage to your ancestors, it's a celebration of the new you.
And it's all included.
Woo-hoo! So imagine coming back home and waking up each day knowing that you have the tools to create a life that brings you joy every single day.
And it's all within reach.
So the time is now and space is limited.
So visit our website at votgpodcast.com to learn more and reserve your spot.
I promise you, the journey to a more fulfilled and empowered life starts here.
We can't wait to create this magical experience with you.
See you soon.
Let's make a woman responsible for Julietta being in yoga. Hey, Jenessa, welcome to the show.
Hello. Oh my God, that's amazing. I'm so happy to be a part of that. And I do really love that. I think your shirt's just going to say hashtag I'm just hot.
There you go.
Right? We're going to step up our game,
And Prince. There you go.
Right? I rock. Wow. Well, I really love the intro about yoga because in thinking of like where we were going to go today, I was like, I still remember my first yoga class at 22 years old.
Wow.
At the Eden Rock in Miami. I was attending law school and I was unhealed and in this really past version of myself where my parents were coming down to see me at my law school. My sister and brother came down and my mom, sister, and I all went to this yoga class. And I had never done yoga, but by the end of the class, when they went into Shavasana, like I disappeared. And I didn't know that I was still in the room we started, and I didn't know if my mom or sister was present. And I didn't know if someone was going to like bring me back or if I wanted to come back.
That's
And
amazing.
so
That
it
was your
was,
first experience.
that was my first experience. And so I literally then heard the teacher's voice bring me back. And I'm like, okay, what just happened? But from that moment on, I knew like yoga had to be a part of my life. But just like you, it was like inconsistent. I was in law school, I had other priorities. I was not there. But when I found my way back, the same way you're finding your way back, it's like, wow, you know, this is the depth and the layers that we're talking about of like revealing who we are and healing who we are. And it could start at a physical level, but it like goes so much further than that when you let it. So yeah, I wasn't even like thinking of yoga when you're like, who am I? And I was like, you know, there's so many layers to me too, to even answer that question. So I love that you kind of segued with, oh, keep going. I'll show up for you at yoga too.
Nice. But we do need you to take a minute to introduce yourself to our audience. Tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, my name's Jenessa, and I always joke that it's like Madonna. I don't need any other names. It's just Jenessa. And that's enough. And I feel like I have so many labels of who I am that like I went to law school, I was a lawyer, but I keep evolving to discover who I am. So right now I own a Montessori school. I've owned a Montessori school for 15 years. I'm 16 now. I opened the school when my son, I really opened it when I was pregnant with him, like being a lawyer, talk about multitasking. I, you know, was a lawyer and I'm like, I got to make a school for my son. So within that year, 9 months of pregnancy, I opened the school. And when he was 4 months old, I started, and I haven't really looked back. Like it is where my passion and purpose is right now, is to just create a safe place for children, for parents, for myself to like grow through like the trauma that is the world around us, and to like create a sanctuary, and to then be a guide to the kids and to the parents on like how to really be vibrant in this current world. So yeah, I guess that's who I am right now, but it keeps changing. I let myself change my mind as often as I need.
That's so beautiful. I love your flexibility. And that's also one of the teachings, right? I mean, that is the Montessori life,
Yeah.
right? Is stay flexible and go with what is feeling good to you right now.
Yeah, and the one Montessori principle was always freedom within limits. Like there's this freedom to move, but you need a structure. And so now that's expanded to me as like the masculine and feminine concept within ourselves. Like there's freedom to be feminine and flow, and then you still need a structure to get things done. So, you know, everything overlaps. And that's what I kind of love about my life right now, is like all the learning I've done over the course of my lifetime all overlaps. The yoga overlaps. It all, you know, has the same structure guiding you forward, right? Guiding you towards your path, your purpose, revealing more of who you're meant to be in this lifetime.
And I think there's no wasted experience, right? Like, I spent 20 years in the legal field, and I taught high school English before that. And I'm a photographer, and I'm running a podcast, and we're putting retreats. But everything that I have ever done all led me to where I am today. And
Absolutely.
I could not do what I do the way that I do it without having all those other experiences, right? So you're probably like hands down, I am probably the photographer with the world's longest contract.
Yeah.
We know too much. We know too much. So I bet that shows up in your business too, right? Like because you can't unsee the lawyer life, right? Like,
no. And I really joke that like law school was the most expensive way for me to really discover that I love writing and to hone my writing skills. And I didn't even know I was a writer, even though probably since 5th grade, the universe was telling me I was a writer and I was being invited to write, but I didn't really know that that was what I loved until I went to law school. I was like, oh, wow, I'm actually really good at this. And this is kind of fun. and my fear of public speaking. Like, I used to be the child that hid under the table, didn't want to be in front of pictures, didn't want anyone to have any attention on her, never wanted to be visible or present or seen. And so then I go to law school and I'm like literally making myself sick before having to do oral arguments and do public speaking. I, the first time, wanted to like call the teacher. I actually tried to call the teacher and be like, I can't show up for this.
So, and part of the reason I asked you to be on the show, Jenessa, is seeing you on social media. Like, you write these posts that are just so profound and beautiful, and they can be about the simplest things, but like seeing the beauty and the deepness in everyday life, it's just, you are a poet. And
yeah, I love it.
You could take your social media posts and turn them into a book. And I think you should consider that. But
I think when you ask the questions, like, that's probably the end result, that I'm not there yet. You know, it's coming where I recognize the value in it. But as I was saying, even behind the scenes before we started, like, there's something really subtle about me being a Virgo. Like, you know, that when you're a Leo, like sometimes you like the limelight, but like for me, I've always been behind the scenes. And so I'm gathering my courage and my desire to like be in front or let people see me or hear me. And so, yeah, I think that's where I'm working. It's just to allow that to be and evolve to that next level, because I love it. But I know you mentioned like limiting beliefs, and it's like, who's listening? Who cares? Who am I writing for? Like, it's just for me, you know, your mind tells you tons of stories throughout your lifetime.
And if I could encourage you, I would say, first of all, everything that we have to say is important. And even if you're the only one listening, it's still super important. So publish it anyway. But, you know, people have used pseudonyms throughout all of history, right? Mark Twain, right?
Yeah.
You know, Sia didn't want anyone to see her face. And so she wore a wig in front of her face for years, because she didn't want it to be about how she looked, and she didn't want it to be about her. She wanted it to be about the music, right? But when that message is inside of you and it's got to come out, because if you're going to explode, like, you find a way, you know, you find a way what to do. So if you have to write in secret and write with a bag over your head, we'll support you. But I think you're probably past that. So you had to get through those limiting beliefs. What do you think has been like your biggest one that someone could use as a takeaway?
Whew. You again asked one, and I like wrote a list. Like, isn't it funny how many things hold us back? But
because you're not the only one. Like, this is the value in this. Like,
that's what I think is amazing. Is like, the very first belief that was limiting, that really catapulted my life, was the fact that I thought the world was unsafe. And so because the world was unsafe, I opened a school so that I could create safety for myself and others, right? So it's like I watched, here's a belief I have, here's a belief I don't like, and here's what I'm going to do to turn that belief into something else. So now I created like this safe sanctuary at a school where I don't believe the world is unsafe. And I hold the boundaries of that so strongly to say nobody's allowed to bring fear inside my school. It can be out there, but in here we are safe.
Beautiful.
So that one was like the first one. But then the second one, like owning a business, I was a bleeding heart. I just like always put everyone's needs before my own, which made very bad business practices, really bad financial scenarios where it was always about others. So I had to really recognize, like, where is this belief coming from that I'm not worthy, that everyone else is more important, more valuable, more necessary to have their needs be met than mine. So I literally had to unwind like really deep childhood pain to be like, this has been forever that I've been invisible and that I don't want to be seen and I don't want anyone to hear my needs and that I'm always going to take care of others. But in the flip side of that, you get to heal through that. And it's like, so now I'm on the other side of these deep, deep, deep beliefs that the other side of that is like, I'm worthy, I'm valuable, I'm important, my needs matter. And so I'm living my life right now from that perspective where I'm like, wow, look how far I've come. Look, when you face yourself and you face the pain within you, you become free. And so now I sit here in a totally new light, recognizing my own worth. And it's pretty even new in the past like 3 years, right? To me, to feel that. So yeah, that was one of them. It's like, that made my business boom. That made me be more responsible with money. That made me hold boundaries better. So like these were really big, big, big. Sorry, my headphone always wants to pop out, so I'm gonna make sure it doesn't. Yeah, so the last two kind of go together. If you have time for that, I have a belief that like love hurts. And so it even went deeper that love is not real and love doesn't exist.
Oy.
They were like really big, really, really, really big. And so I'm like, wow, if that's how I feel, what am I not seeing in my world? Because like, it's very lonely. You would feel alone. But facing that depth of that belief allowed me to now be here where I am today, where I literally know that like love surrounds me. Like it's in everything. I'm like so open to receive the love that is available to me that I didn't think existed. So it's been like a fun journey. You said at the beginning of my questionnaire, like, why? Like what lights you up? It's like this growth, like this ability to experience the world in a brand new way is why I show up. And to know it has ripple effects to my kids. You guys, you're a mother, Graciela. It's like, I started it for them. I started everything, all my growth for them.
And that's the beauty of healing yourself, right? Is that you're healing it for yourself, you're healing it for those behind you, and you're healing it for those ahead of you, right?
Yes.
I know for myself, a lot of what I do is like, oh man, my kids are watching me. Like I better do it the way I should do it, and not my, let me bring myself down kind of a way, right? Let me show them what self-worth looks like. Let me show them what authenticity looks like. Because we're so willing to beat ourselves up, right? We're so willing to stay in those beliefs that, I'm not worthy. But man, you don't want that for your kids, right? So
oof, isn't that huge? Like to say, I would never, when I started, I guess the two things I'll share is when you said that, a lot of parents that I encounter don't always know that they're actually seeing themselves in their child. So they're always saying like, what is wrong with him? Why can't he concentrate? Why can't he, like, he's pushing my buttons, he's triggering me. And I'm just like, whoop, there's a big fat mirror, And the only reason why I learned that there's a big fat mirror is I remember my middle daughter, we called her Little Rage Page. Like she had like an intensity within her body and an anger that I couldn't understand, like this hot and cold. And it freaked me out as a mother. I'm like, I don't even know how to handle the intensity of your emotions. And then I was like,
it's all yours.
That's how I was behaving. Like I had no idea that that's the role model I was being to her, that she seemed crazy and emotionally imbalanced as a 5-year-old, as if that's her fault. So I started meditating when my daughter was 5. She's like 12 now. Because I realized that like I need to help her by helping myself, and we're going to meditate together and we're going to change our life. And we did, which is amazing, right? It's like, these are the choices that if you're willing to see yourself and take new steps, you get to have a whole new way of being. Like I didn't have to stay stuck in that version of me. My daughter didn't have to stay with that.
Thank goodness. And it's not just the one thing, right? It's like, it's a gateway to a whole new life, right?
Yes.
It's like
yes.
all of us, it's like, this is peeling the layers, right? Like once you remove these dark glasses that you've been seeing the world through, it's like all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, everybody else on here is happy like this? Wait a minute, everyone else on here thinks love is amazing, and everyone else is being nurtured by love and not destroyed by love. Super weird,
Right? Yes.
Totally amazing.
Yeah, and now we just get to be the guide, right? We get to like live our own journey and then be that reflection for others, to be like, wait, there's a way forward that you may not know. And sometimes it's those random moments in yoga, right? Like I knew the universe guided me to that class so that I would find myself again. So I'd find that peace again, that I would go seeking yoga again.
And it's never too late.
Right.
It's never too late.
Right.
Beautiful. So I know you told us earlier we always ask for one book, but you've got like a whole stack of them for us. But maybe you can pick one or two to share with our audience.
Well, let's think. I'll keep it on the positive side. Like there was a book that somebody passed to me that's super tiny that was called Just Ask the Universe. And it was written by Michael Samuels. And it's like the tiniest book you can read in a day or a weekend. But it had workbook settings that literally made me realize like I have always been held, loved, and supported, and everything I've ever asked for, I've received. And everything I ever want, of course, based on this past study that I just showed myself, I will receive. So to me, that was like this practical version. It actually says it's a no-nonsense guide to manifesting your dreams. And that's one of the things I love, is that somehow deep within me, there is a belief and a trust in the universe that we are okay, that I am okay, that all is well, and that we are protected and provided for. And I think that is huge for people in this like crazy time that may not feel very stable or secure, to like reflect on that we are safe and we are protected and we are loved and all is well. So that was one. I put this book Give and Take and The Go-Giver, but they both have the same concept of leadership, of like there are givers in the world and there are takers. That's Give and Take by Adam Grant. And then The Go-Giver shows like how you run a business by giving, showing up in your authenticity, giving value to others in order to create wealth. So both of those I just love because I've always been a giver, but I never knew like, wow, that's actually the way. And the part that I loved about the Adam Grant one of the Give and Take is they're like, there are leaders that reach the top by taking, but when they fall, no one will catch them. And when givers give and they rise to the top, and if they miss a rung on the ladder or they stumble, everyone's lifting them. So I really love those. The last one, I guess, well, there's, if you have time, Meet Your Soul by Alyssa Romeo is like this initial guide to like, we are bigger than our human experience. Like there's a depth within us, and she writes it in a way that's such an easy read to recognize like the power of who we are and to get into communication with your higher self. She does soul journaling in a way that like really lets you learn who you are by listening to yourself.
Wow. I love that there's so many different ways to approach each of these concepts, right? Like there is a book out there for you that speaks to you in your language in a way that is going to just hit it right at the time you need to hear it.
Yes. And I never went searching for these. It always was somebody gave it to me. So it's like, just be open, keep listening. If someone suggests a book right in your field, like get the damn book. They didn't say it for no reason.
Well, this is how I ended up with like 2,000 books in my house, because I've always felt that books all have one or two sentences that are like the big secret, that it's like the big one thing that could totally change my life. And so I would always, and I still do, I stockpile books. Like, I don't think I can actually live long enough to read them all, but it doesn't matter. They're just going to come to me through osmosis anyway. But that's, and my kids are the same, I have them surrounded by books,
It's so good.
learning in the way that they want to learn, so thank you for sharing those. Those are really cool. I meant to ask you, what age range is your Montessori school? Is it elementary?
No, completely tiny kids. So again, it's 0 to 5. And yet like that's when personality is formed. Like it's when 0 to 7's when you can do the most damage to the human psyche, so to me, it's like the most precious time to protect their innocence and to like give them the right start to life. And then once they get to there, they can tackle the world, they can accomplish anything because they've already learned who they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. This show has been amazing, and you've dropped a cajillion nuggets for our audience. But do you have one more golden nugget that you'd like to share with them as a parting gift?
I think the one thing I love the most is that I've kept the joy and wonder of a child as an adult, and it has allowed me to seek play. And this is a newly discovered thing. I remember when I first started healing, I was just a mom and a business worker, and I had all these hats I had to wear, none of which ever asked me what I needed. And so one time a mentor asked me, like, well, what makes you happy? And I was like, well, that's spoken from a woman who didn't ever have kids. Like, I mean, my kids, what else do I have time for? They make me happy. My entire life is for them. And then she's like, no, seriously, like, what makes you happy? And I feel like I've taken the last few years of my life since she invited that in to discover what makes me happy. And now my kids see like a really joyous mom, like a super playful, super adventurous, like I've discovered what makes me happy. So I think that would be my parting gift, is like, don't forget, in a world filled of like doing, and this is what Sean, our circle back to the beginning of our yoga teacher, we are not human doings. We're human beings. Like we're meant to be in this energy of love and joy and happiness. Otherwise, we're really missing the point.
And I love, I don't have children of my own, but I've, had so many children be part of my life as clients here. But so many parents talk about, you got to put your kids first. You got to put your kids first. But then that's the lesson that you're teaching them, is to always put others first. And I think one of the best gifts you can give your children is by taking care of you and putting you first. That teaches them to put them first. And
100%.
Yeah.
It's opposite of what we've been taught as a society, as a culture. So it is so important. If anything, we've learned that if we see someone doing that, we think they're selfish, they're not a good mom, like we label or judge someone for their freedom and their joy. But it's almost just like a disappointment that they haven't found it within themselves yet.
It's the whole, you got to put your oxygen mask on first. Otherwise, there's going to come a point where you won't be there for anybody.
Yes. Yeah.
I love this. This has been such a wonderful conversation, Jenessa. Thank you so much for being here. This is so just beautiful.
Yes. Well, I love it. We'll see you at yoga. It was great to see you guys, and we'll connect again. I love this community. I
want to say thank you so much for stepping outside of your comfort zone and coming and being on the show, because like I said, you have such beautiful wisdom to share with the world, and I encourage you to keep doing that. Thank you to our listeners for listening today, and have a magical day, everyone.
Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us today and keeping us in the top 10% of podcasts in the world.
Ask us how you can promote your business on this podcast as a sponsor, and make sure you check out the show notes for details on how to get in touch with Julieta, Graciela, or today's special guest.
We're sending you lots of love and gratitude. Have a magical day.